Some choices are hard, like should you choose McDonald's Buttermilk Crispy Tenders or the Buttermilk Crispy Chicken in our signature crafted recipe sandwiches? Well, guess what? You can't make a wrong choice. It's Buttermilk Love, and that's good news. Speaking of good news, now you can get McDonald's 2-piece Buttermilk Crispy Tenders for just $2 from their $1, $2, $3 menu. Cannot be combined with other offer or combo meal. Prices and participation may vary.
Welcome to Blog Talk Radio in high fidelity.
Divine, all blessed thunder and lightning, storm and wind. You are now listening live and always in archive at your leisure and convenience to the Divine Prince, Pan-African Spiritualist, Practitioner, Author, and Advisor, Elagun Oloye Hoodoo Obeya Bokur, sharing with you in all things spiritual, mystical, metaphysical, cosmic, universal, evolutionary, revolutionary, healing, and holistic from a Pan-African Hoodoo world spiritualist perspective. Understanding that all is truly and indeed a blessing if you can just see beyond the veil, for it is all just an illusion and a test in one of the greatest divine mysteries of this life cycle. This is my constant prayer, my mantra, affirmation, reverberation, reiteration, and my personal, ever-living reality. And it is crucial to the very foundation of my understanding, my teaching, my walk, my works along this divine, all-blessed life path and journey. It is how I, the Divine Prince, make sense out of all that we are challenged with here in our daily existence is my personal place of power and understanding. That place from where I begin, that place from where I realize and crystallize all my endeavors, understanding that I and I alone create and co-create my divine destiny. And I alone create and co-create my divine, all-blessed reality. And so it is. Ashe. Today is Friday, April 27, 2018, and I am emanating and vibrating with you and for you live, virtually, verbally, cosmically, quantum universally from this working temple of the house of the Divine Prince, Thai Potions, Hoodoo Central, Black Hawk Voodoo, in this legendary, historic, beautiful, and most enchanted city in America, New Orleans, Louisiana, the land of my ancestors and those who came before me along this spiritualist Hoodoo Obeya life path and journey, passing down that great Obeya stick along with the knowledge of the healing, life-giving herbs, roots, plants, rituals, spirits, and minerals. I'm always humbled and honored and appreciative to those who join me here at high noon U.S. Central Standard Time for the Power Lunch. Hoodoo, Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes, here on Blog Talk Radio, blogtalkradio.com/. My live listening and call-in number is area code 347-215-8967, 347-215-8967. When you are ready with your question, comment, or request, please do press the number 1 on your telephone keypad. I will be more than happy to assist you. Open your line. Please allow me to catch my breath, to find the period in my sentence, to finish my thought. Sometimes people raise their hand, almost like we're in a private conversation, and they expect me to stop immediately and respond. And often we're in a flow, or I'm already addressing another subject. So just breathe, allow me a moment, and I will come to you and unmute your mic. Also be mindful, my website where I can be reached utilizing various means virtually 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, operating in 360 degrees of well-documented revelation and manifestation is www.houseofthedivineprince, www.houseofthedivineprince.com. All is truly and indeed a blessing. We were talking about spiritualists and spiritualist churches and how it's almost impossible to be operating in Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo today and not recognize, honor, in a great way, Mother Catherine Fields and many other spiritual leaders and teachers that we began discussing yesterday. Jean Montanet, Charles Harrison, and Murphy, we honor a great ancestors, Carol and Tracy Dye, Dr. Jim Joy, Spiritualist Mother Maud Shannon with the Spiritualist Church in New Orleans. We acknowledge and honor great ancestors, for indeed without you laying a foundation, where would we be today? What will we have to work with today? And we're talking about in invoking the names of Mother Maud and Mother Catherine and Dr. John. The late 19th century, going into the 20th century, in some cases we have dates, birth and transition dates for some of these powerful ancestors a little bit earlier. But even before them, music has long been a means to express all human emotion. For the enslaved Africans who first arrived in the North American states in 1619, music served to retain a small remnant of their culture, to protest against the unjust and deplorable conditions of their enslavement, to provide a trace of hope for an optimistic future, and to communicate with one another, and to contain their codes. Sunday morning in Congo Square with the Oshun Festival, I talked about the container of codes. We not only were able to maintain our rhythm and our beat and our lyrics and our songs and the ethnic diversity within those songs, but also our tradition, the imagery, the spirits, the Loa, the Orisha, the deities that travel on the vibration of these songs. And then we begin to mask and have to conceal that for obvious reasons, enslavement and white supremacy. Slave owners were afraid and suspicious of any form of loud musical expression or any large gathering of slaves. The use of drums, which was common in the homeland, was prohibited as slave owners feared the secret messages being sent, the codes being sent. Music was only allowed as a form of worship at church services or at work. Work songs were a tradition in many West African regions. They were used to motivate workers in their burden of physical labor. So we often think of these practices being somehow birthed here, enslavement, if you will, and to some degree the motivation is clearly there. But we're talking about ancient practices and traditions that our foremothers and forefathers would have known, would have carried in their hands and in their bosoms and in their hearts and in their minds, and at the third eye level with them coming into this tragedy. In the United States, these songs evolved into spirituals, and they were allowed because they helped to spread the message of Christianity. They were accompanied by stomping, clapping, and shouting. Spirituals were created, recreated, and passed down orally. And of course, the white society sensed that this was because the slaves were denied the right to read and write. And we already know those in this squared circle. We have the history, we have the archaeology, we have the documentation of slaves who went out of their way to educate themselves, to learn more than one language, to understand the world that was going on around them and still master. Master. Hence, there are many versions of these songs, and it's not uncommon to find variations in the phrases and phraseology within these songs. And of course, I say absolutely, but in conversation, if indeed these songs contain codes, roadmaps, messages about escaping and uprising, then indeed they were also able to contain the voodoo, the spirits, the acknowledgement of ancestors. These were things that we could not say, could not pronounce openly, sometimes even among ourselves, because we were taught to fear ourselves. There were those who didn't quite get it and